Live on SportsGrid, it is Betting Above the Rim Pro Basketball today. Coach James Young and Tom Vecchio alongside myself, Kevin Walsh, for the next 2 hours as we go over a wild week in the NBA that, of course, includes the NBA draft. Of course, includes a Kevin Durant trade. It feels like a year ago, but JY, less than a week. The Thunder won the title, by the way.
Yeah, less than a week ago, the Thunder won the title, and literally, I mean, we were having trades on off days of the finals, and then we get trades afterwards, and then there's a draft. So it's been a wild, week, I would say, in the NBA, Tom. Hopefully, we got 2 hours is enough to cover a lot of stuff that went on.
Yeah, we were here last Saturday previewing Game 7, which, again, feels like 2-3 weeks ago, a month ago at this point. We have the Durant trade prior to Game 7. We have Game 7. We can talk about the Halliburton injury. We talk about the season going forward. We have more trades. We have the draft.
Yep.
And now we are quickly approaching free agency in a couple days. Yeah. And then the Summer League.
We will be getting into all of that on our show today. There was a somewhat piece of breaking NBA news yesterday that we weren't necessarily expecting to come down, which was the Naz Reid extension. Minnesota handed it out. I think just the most noteworthy thing there for the Timberwolves is that we've talked about a down free agency class with Nickeil Alexander-Walker's departure seeming more of a certainty to people, and how is Julius Randle going to approach his player option? Does he feel confident he could get more money elsewhere, or is it a good leverage piece for him relative to Minnesota? The fact that they were at least able to make sure Naz Reid is back in the building, Tom, certainly something that gives a little bit of extra encouragement to a Minnesota team who is priced as one of the legitimate West contenders outside of OKC.
Yeah, I would say this is just the first step of hopefully many more to come. And the lack of scoring outside, a lack of consistent scoring outside of Anthony Edwards is something that I will continue to bring up that they need to address. But yeah, it is good to re-sign Naz Reid. And again, this is the first domino of hopefully many to fall. This can't just be the only thing that they do. It has to be active in free agency, and again, a lot of it is depending on what Randall decides to do.
I think when you look at Naz Reid, shout out to Naz Reid, Asbury Park in the building. So for Naz, good for him getting the contract, but it kind of sets up the domino of that they were trying to move Rudy Gobert at some point earlier, even in the Kevin Durant trade. So now we're going to start looking at obviously Gobert, but what Naz Reid does, folks, is he gives you flexibility, right? You can play him at either a 4 with Rudy Gobert if he were to stay, or you can play him as a small ball 5. So he gives you that little bit of both. And obviously he had some big moments this past year in the NBA playoffs. I mean, at some points sometimes he was their best big man in some of the games. So to me, it's interesting, but now you look at Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's probably going to leave. Now we have to look at, either it's Rob Dillingham or Terrence Shannon Jr. One of those two guys has to step up. And then what happens with Julius Randle? And it becomes interesting because now when you look at options, what do? Do you take the team option now and then wait until next year? And then you have to kind of look around and see who's going to have the cap room. Obviously, a team like Brooklyn's going to have the cap room. Does Julius Randle want to go ahead and go for that again and try and get another big free agent contract? The one thing about Julius Randle, is even as a Knicks fan, is when it comes down to it's about the time to get paid, he usually plays really, really well. So he had a pretty good playoff. Maybe he spins it into another contract because I don't think you want to go into your free agent year because what happens if you get injured or you don't play well?
Minnesota, again, one of those teams that will hope to challenge OKC next year. Houston, though, presently being priced as the biggest threat to Oklahoma City with that Kevin Durant trade finalized and giving the Rockets a trusted scoring option that they did not have last year. I think there's a lot of interesting aspects of this for Phoenix, especially coming off of the draft that they had. And even if you like Jalen Green and you want to hold out that maybe this kid can figure it out at some point, Jalen Green, in 6 of the 7 games against Golden State, was really bad. Like, not just didn't give us enough. Like,
terrible.
Under 15 points in all of those games, under 40% from the field in all of those games. It makes the 38 game that he had in game number 2 just that much more bizarre, but it happened. And I think the books are largely viewing, hey, Jalen Green is now Kevin Durant. Okay, the Rockets, who were a 52-win team last year, are significantly better. A big reason for their move in the market. Not the only team, though, from Texas moving, JY. Cooper Flagg officially going to Dallas, and I think a lot of the hype around the Mavericks, we've seen some chatter around Coop and his new basketball team.
Yeah, and really quickly, Houston. Houston's got an interesting situation because they have two young guards in Reed Shepard and Cam Whitmore.
Yeah.
That one of them you can plug into the starting lineup, and the other one you can bring off the bench, right? Because you figure you go Fred VanVleet, one of those two. Obviously, you go with Durant, Amen Thompson, Şengün, Steven Adams. Smart move, 3-year, $39 million contract, bringing him back. Jabari Smith off the bench, Tari Eason, who we all, me and Kevin, and I think obviously Tom too, big fans of Tari Eason, what he brings to the table off the bench. Secretly deep team. But when you head to Dallas, it's so interesting because a year ago, Kevin and I were huge fans of the Dallas Mavericks, right? We sat there and we looked at this team, we're like, oh, look at Kyrie, run it back, here we go, we're going to win a championship. Then Nico Harrison fumbles the whole thing. Then he wins the draft lottery. Then he gets Cooper Flagg. And now he's got Anthony Davis with Cooper Flagg, P.J. Washington, and then you also have Lively and Derek Gafford in the backcourt, in the front court, Klay Thompson, Caleb Martin front backcourt. They got to get another guard. But to me, Tom, if you're starting to look at teams that could be a sleeper this year in the NBA, if Dallas could hold it down until Kyrie gets back, that team is going to be dynamite defensively, probably one of the top 5 teams defensively, and so much versatility with their bigs and with Cooper Flagg that Dallas could be a sleeper team to make a deep run in the Western Conference.
So when it comes to Kyrie, we don't have a timetable on his
Tore his ACL
right in
March.
At the end of March. So, I mean, are we anticipating that he'll be back next year? Because I'm saying
Here's what I would say to your question. The Mavericks are all of a sudden getting a lot of love. And I think for some reason, because it seems like people want to give them this love, they are ignoring the Kyrie timeline, which initially when he tore the ACL, many people had the reaction of, oh, he's not playing next year. But now we do the Mavs projected starting lineup, and we keep acting like Kyrie's in the starting lineup.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I said the other day, and I brought this up. Like, seeing these graphics that say the Mavs projected starting lineup, oh, Kyrie, Klay, Cooper, AD, Gafford, I'm like, Kyrie's not playing.
What?
He's not playing. And if he comes, and then here's the point: if they are a play-in team at best next year, let's just say that's where they're sitting. Do you want to rush him back, knowing that you signed him and you're like, listen, take it easy. We have Cooper Flagg. We are set. We do not need to risk anything.
I think you're going to play it by ear. Right now, they're looking at Kyrie January, February. So they're looking at
that's 10 months.
That's a trade. That's like a trade deadline acquisition if you think about when Kyrie comes back.
That's a 10-month recovery for a veteran player.
Yeah, and it's a long recovery. But I think what you're looking at really quick with Cooper Flagg is, if I'm Dallas, with the way he sees the floor, I would be looking at Cooper Flagg assist props right off the jump and run him as almost like a point forward.
That's what Jason Kidd said in the press conference. He wants to play him at point guard.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. I hate that is what we are doing so they can put 607-footers on the court. Cooper Flagg, again, immensely talented, but Dallas's approach plus buzz plus excitement and expectations.
Just put AD at the 5 and call it a day.
Oh, you mean the thing that he absolutely refuses to do and is a 1% part of the reason why the Lakers traded him?
Listen, I will.
Oh, yeah.
No.
He's going to listen to you.
Of course. Why wouldn't he?
Yeah. And not all of the teams he's played for.
A bunch of jabronis. I know more
We'll talk about the top 4 from the draft next right here on SportsGrid.
Cam Young at 30-1. I think it's a really nice course for him at the Rocket Mortgage in Detroit, Michigan for him. Wyndham Clark at 36-1. And I also like Alex Noren at 60 to 1.
My Morency drunken Brit dart toss golf pick, which does win like 2-3 times a year, guys. Insanely enough. But I'm going to say Matt Fitzpatrick.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
I do believe that SJ now is the #1 player in the world. The things that he can do from the point of attack, offensively and defensively, his ability to drive downhill and score at all 3 levels. And the thing I like most about this young man at 26, he's so humble. He's so humble. And that speaks to the whole culture of OKC that Sam Presti and Mark Daigneault has built. Humble team, folks.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No way that I'm betting on the Cleveland Cavaliers for any reason whatsoever.
No.
Ever. Like, when they had LeBron James, it was a different story. I do not believe, I think Spider's great. He's no LeBron. I don't see him carrying them to a title. And I don't believe in the Knicks at all. The Knicks never get it done.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Kevin Durant, at the age of 36 years old, after 17 seasons that he has played in the NBA DRS, is now on his way to H-Town.
I don't think it's a great move. I wanted him to go to a ready-made championship team full of a veteran roster and see if he can ring chase that way. Not to go to an organization on the come-up that if you just stay the course, and also, what better blueprint do we have than just staying the course than OKC, right?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Back with you right here on SportsGrid, and the top 4 in the draft actually did play out chalk for the NBA. Cooper going first, we knew the entire time. Harper going second, we were pretty sure. Once Edgecombe took over Ace Bailey for the favorite at number 3, it was unchanging. And Konkanippel closed as over -500 to go 4th by Charlotte. We've talked flag a little bit already here, so let's make sure we give the other guys a little bit of time. And I'll actually go to his teammate in Konkanippel at 4. There's a lot of positivity for Kon, the basketball player. I think there is excitement for what he can bring individually to Charlotte. There are a lot of worries, though, about this defense now for the Hornets. I think because of the open nature of the Eastern Conference, there's going to be at least a brief evaluation of, is this team setting themselves up for some success? And Charlotte pairing, that's the wrong team. Charlotte pairing Konkanippel with LaMelo and Miller fits in one respect, but it makes the lack of front court help, especially with the Mark Williams trade, even more concerning. Where are you as we are a few days removed, JY, from Charlotte's decision to take Konkanippel at 4th overall?
I think it makes a lot of sense for them in regards to the fact of what he can do as a spacer and someone who can shoot the ball really well. I also think he's got an extremely high basketball IQ. Maybe we could say a better shooting version of like a Gordon Hayward, who I think someone had a really good career and actually was, I do believe, a former Charlotte Hornet. To me, a lot of what is going to happen with Charlotte is the evolution this year of the game of LaMelo Ball. I really firmly believe that LaMelo Ball has got to change his game. And I know he can shoot the ball and he shoots it deep, but I want him to be less of a scorer and more of a facilitator. Because now if you go, let's say you go with a small ball 5 that can stretch the floor, and they got to go find one, right? Now you have driving lanes, and now you have 3 really good shooters, and obviously Kanippel, Miller, and Bridges is an underrated shooter. So now if you have driving lanes and kick-out opportunities, I think LaMelo can make this team markedly better if he's willing to take on the role of a leader. The problem is I don't know if I trust him to do so. And then you look at the fact of you at one point had Nick Richards and Mark Williams. Now, they've both been traded to Phoenix, and that's a story for another segment because I still don't understand how that's all going to work with Mellywatch. But at least I think they're going in the right direction. Tom, they just got to figure out what they want to do in the pivot.
You were talking about the defense. I was going to say, what defense?
Yeah.
I think that's a fair.
I think Knippel's a little bit better defensively than people want to give him credit for.
He can be better, but the team around him is not good on defense.
LaMelo Ball's worst defensive.
So I said this at the draft, or I made some allusion to it in the draft. It's like they can score 130 points, but they may be giving up 150. Yeah. Where they're going to be a fun team, and I think if LaMelo does take that step back and turn into a facilitator, assist prop from him would be night in and night out something you could look at if these other players are shooting around him.
Yeah, my pushback is I don't think that the problem for the Charlotte is not that LaMelo scores too much.
Oh, absolutely not. I would have said, but I'm saying from a team, if you were saying how do we get some type of value from it, if he does facilitate more and continues to score, they're going to be a fun team. There's no doubt about that, but I don't see them as a team that...
This is a team that
poses any resistance to any opposing team at all.
Yeah, I think one of the really interesting things is what... can Brandon Miller stay healthy this year?
Yeah.
Played less than 30 games.
Yep.
And can LaMelo stay healthy this year, who played less than 50 games?
Yeah.
And what can we get from that pairing? And because that pairing is the most important thing of Charlotte for the Hornets, I would say Knippel does fit nicely with those guys. Now, that's on one side of the floor, but I bring up the defense to say we're kind of aware Charlotte isn't necessarily looking to contend. Philly is a different story. The Philadelphia 76ers... There's no reason for this team to not enter this season with eyes towards a top 4 seed in the East is the way I'll call it. And the decision to draft VJ Edgecombe and where does he fit in, I think one of the things about VJ is as he figures out the offense, that is where the defensive upside and excitement can really track. I think VJ Edgecombe is likelier to start than Jared McCain for the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, it may just end up being Quentin Grimes, but I think the defensive upside of VJ gives him a legitimate chance to start on the Sixers this coming season.
I would say so, and I think you're alluding to the price that the 76ers currently have in the market, either to win the East or to win the NBA championship. And I almost want to say it's like it's bad recency bias where people have like a sour taste in their mouth of like, oh, Embiid was hurt again. What do you know? Oh, they shut down Maxey. Oh, they shut down PG. But it obviously comes down to the health of those. I would say more Embiid and Paul George rather than Maxey. But if they were to stay healthy, if they do continue to push things forward, the team is not priced where they should be if those things were to hold true. So seeing 11-1 to win the conference, I think is a tad too long. And for their NBA Finals odds, just quickly, they're sitting at 32-1, which I think is a little bit insane. I would absolutely have them ahead of San Antonio. So if they were to stay healthy, they are at least intriguing, and they're far more deserving of a bet rather than some compared to the Magic.
Well, I think, listen, McCain comes off the bench. Obviously, you have Grimes, you have Oubre, you have some workable talent, Yabusele. But to me, it's all going to come down to Joel Embiid and if this man can stay healthy. If Joel Embiid is healthy and playing his basketball, he is a top 5 player in the world. The problem is that we have not seen that for the better part of the year because he decided not to get surgery after last season and obviously played in the Olympics and really cost Philadelphia. So interesting times, but they have to turn it around because if they don't turn around this year, jobs will be on the line.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely true. We will take this break and come back and talk about the Rutgers kids. One, not seamless because of an on-court fit. The other not seamless because of an off-court dispute. That's all next right here on SportsGrid.
Cam Young at 30-1. I think it's a really nice course for him at the Rocket Mortgage in Detroit, Michigan for him. Wyndham Clark at 36-1. And I also like Alex Noren at 60-1.
My Morency drunken Brit dart toss golf pick, which does win like 2-3 times a year, guys. Some insanely enough. But I'm going to say Matt Fitzpatrick.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
I do believe that SJ now is the #1 player in the world. The things that he can do from the point of attack, offensively and defensively, his ability to drive downhill and score in all 3 levels. And the thing I like most about this young man at 26, he's so humble. He's so humble. And that speaks to the whole culture of OKC that Sam Presti and Mark Dagnall has built. Humble team, folks.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No way that I'm betting on the Cleveland Cavaliers for any reason whatsoever.
No.
Ever. Like, when they had LeBron James, it was a different story. I think Spider's great. He's no LeBron. I don't see him carrying them to a title. And I don't believe in the Knicks at all. The Knicks never get it done.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Kevin Durant, at the age of 36 years old, after 17 seasons that he has played in the NBA DRS, is now on his way to H-Town.
I don't think it's a great move. I wanted him to go to a ready-made championship team full of a veteran roster and see if he can ring chase that way. Not to go to an organization on the come-up that if you just stay the course, and also, what better blueprint do we have than just staying the course and OKC, right?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, so starting quickly with Dylan Harper, because I think this is something that we've all talked about, so I don't want to go crazy on it. I just asked this question, JY. De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle. In this moment, would you expect San Antonio to start all 3 of those guys next season, or a combination of the 2, and then if so, which 2?
I think it's a combination. I would be going with Fox and Castle, bring Harper off the bench, and then I would look at possibly. You're also forgetting about Devin Vassell. So there's another piece there that you have to consider. It's going to end up being, and I'll just address it right now. If Ace Bailey is 6'10", I think he's going to. I think it fits more to what San Antonio needed, because you don't draft Castle, trade for Fox, and then bring in Harper all within a year. I'm having a hard time with San Antonio. I feel like they were forced in that box of 2. That's why we thought it was intriguing about would they have traded the pick and moved down and got an additional assets, because they could have gotten something more they needed, and they didn't address it by going with another guard.
Even though I don't like how things have been done, the defense of San Antonio is just they drafted Castle. By the way, love that pick, right? And then they get the Rookie of the Year. Fox was like, I want to be a Spur. And the Kings were like, whatever,
we'll
fine.
trade you.
And the Spurs were like, we get the Aaron Fox for mostly nothing? Yeah, we have to do that. And then they ended up with the second pick, and they weren't supposed to have the second pick. And they were like, well, he's by far the second best guy on the board. Even if I don't agree with that, right? I don't know if Coach fully agreed with that, right? But the perception around the league is Harper was the second best guy. And San Antonio we're not going to take a lesser player just because we happen to have these other situations play out. I just think, Tom, it's difficult to get a read on how this team is going to move forward, because Wemby's the most important guy on the team.
By far.
Who's the second most important guy on the Not best.
Right.
Who's the second most important team on their vision board? Who's that guy?
I think it might be Harper.
I agree.
I think it might be Harper. And to the initial question of, like, what's the starting? It's obviously going to be Fox there. We know that Fox is going to be starting. And then it comes down to, is it going to be Harper or Castle? My honest thing is, like, try both. Like, there's no harm in trying both. They are, I would say, we expect them to do what this year? Push for a play-in seed, right? Like, that's what their kind of, like, aspirations are this season. Push for a play-in.
Their odds, I believe, are currently 7th of Western Conference teams, maybe, I want to say.
So that makes, roughly 7th or 8th, wherever it might be.
Yeah.
But, like, push for a play-in, so that, like, that is encouraging to me that they can experiment. Mm-hmm. It's not like, oh, we are up against it. We got to figure it out because we're the 4th seed. We got to figure out what's going on. We have to have our starting lineup set. I think the experimentation will lead you in that direction. I'm like, listen, if Castle doesn't start some games and I want to put Harper in there and be like, listen, Castle comes off the bench and he can be that guy when he comes off the bench, that's the role he has to play. And if it's the opposite with Harper, it's like, listen, when you come on the court, there's going to be no Fox and Wemby. We want you to take control of the offense because we have to see what we have with you. Because if that's what they see what they have him, then he is the second most important player behind Wemby. So I just think it's almost freeing in an aspect of, like, some games we're going to start Fox and Castle, some games it's going to be Fox and Harper, and you can experiment because they are a young team growing, and this is the most important time to figure this stuff out.
So for me, a couple things. One, I actually would anticipate Fox and Harper start. Castle only started 47 of the games last year.
Yeah, I was at the...
Yeah, right. He was so good once he got the
because that was when he had the ability for the usage. So almost bringing him off the bench will free him to do that.
My thing is the way you're talking about the Spurs lines up with how some of the odds are and like a 34-win team. Victor Wembanyama, if they do not make the playoffs. There's going to be some panic in the streets. That's the reality of it. LeBron was in the finals year 4. If we go 3 straight no playoffs, 3 straight seasons under 500, now that won't be but what do you think their win total is going to be right now? Ballpark, 45.5? Does that sound high or low?
That sounds high.
Okay, well, I'll tell you this. They win 43 games, people are going to be pretty upset.
Again,
they're in a weird spot. The play-in last year, by the way, was 48 wins and, all this other stuff. So, again, the Spurs situation is interesting. Ace Bailey, maybe we have a resolution? We'll talk about it next right here on SportsGrid.
Cam Young at 30-1. I think it's a really nice course for him at the Rocket Mortgage in Detroit, Michigan for him. Wyndham Clark at 36-1. And I also like Alex Noren at 60-1.
My Morency drunken Brit dart toss golf pick, which does win like 2-3 times a year, guys. Insanely enough. But I'm going to say Matt Fitzpatrick.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
I do believe that SJ now is the #1 player in the world. The things that he can do from the point of attack, offensively and defensively, his ability to drive downhill and score in all 3 levels. And the thing I like most about this young man at 26, he's so humble. He's so humble. And that speaks to the whole culture of OKC that Sam Presti and Mark Daigneault has built. Humble team, folks.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No way that I'm betting on the Cleveland Cavaliers for any reason whatsoever.
No.
Ever. Like, when they had LeBron James, it was a different story. I think Spider's great. He's no LeBron. I don't see him carrying them to a title. And I don't believe in the Knicks at all. The Knicks never get it done.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Kevin Durant, at the age of 36 years old, after 17 seasons that he has played in the NBA DRS, is now on his way to H-Town.
I don't think it's a great move. I wanted him to go to a ready-made championship team full of a veteran roster and see if he can ring chase that way. Not to go to an organization on the come-up that if you just stay the course, and also, what better blueprint do we have than just staying the course than OKC, right?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Ace Bailey, Utah Jazz. This is an interesting one, undoubtedly. Man, there's a lot of ways this story goes. I guess it is important to say the latest around this story appears to be Ace Bailey is reporting to Utah today.
Saturday.
And yes.
Just to make sure.
And this may all be fine and resolved, like, as we are having this conversation.
Right.
To try and run back the timeline of, what happened here. Ace Bailey's camp decided he was not going to work out for anyone. Ace Bailey seemingly had 1 to 3 ideal landing spots. It appears Brooklyn and Washington, most notably, were Bailey's preferred destinations. Bailey reportedly told a team, do not draft me. By the way, I don't think Ace has spoken to a soul. His team, I should say, said, do not draft me. There's an assumption that team was Utah, and then the Jazz at 5 drafted Ace Bailey. Now, Ace went up on stage. Did he look, he wasn't crying like, come on, Malawatch. So it was like, oh, is he even happy? Like, what's going on here? The Jazz plane picks up Walter Clayton Jr. Ace is like, I'll catch the next flight. It's like, oh. And then the Jazz are like, well, we're not going to budge. And then Bailey's like, maybe I'm not going to budge. And maybe it's been sorted out. I think there's a few things here because the way some of this is going to get covered is, I know it's going to really bother me because of how people tend to cover this stuff with young athletes in these situations. I'm not going to full out defend the way the Bailey camp has handled this. I'll probably defend them more than most. But I'll let these guys kind of get first crack at it here. Coach, where are you right now on the Ace Bailey situation?
Listen, the kid was not going to turn down $50 million.
Okay.
All right, let's just call it what it is. He wanted destinations. He wanted to go to a major media market in which he wanted to be a star. And I'm going to say something that no one else will say in a set. There are sometimes worries about black players going to Utah. I'm sorry, I'll say it. I'm not saying that that's one of the team he said he didn't want to go in the top 5. I'm just saying it's a thing. And that's something that the NBA may have to address at some point in the future if they feel like they got to move out of that city, because I think it's going to be always hard for an age to get free agents to go to Utah, with all due respect. And it's always been the case with the Utah Jazz. In regards to Ace Bailey, I just think he got bad advice, and I think the crazy thing about it is everybody's talking about what Ace Bailey said. Ace Bailey said nothing. It was his representation that said stuff. It was other people. It was sources. Ace Bailey never came out and said this. Now, I know he wanted to go to one of these 2 spots, but when you look at Ace, let's put aside all the off-court stuff. On-court stuff, this kid could be a walking bucket in the NBA. I firmly believe the guy could legitimately be a 18-point-a-game scorer his rookie year if the shots are there. It's his shot, I wouldn't say shot creation, his willingness to take any shot possible and not pass the ball is a reason why a Rutgers team that 2 of my top 3 players on the board couldn't even get out of the play-in round of the Big Ten tournament. Forget the NCAA tournament, and they were a top 25 team preseason. To me, what I want to see, Tom, is when you look at Ace, it's not about him. It's about the 4 players of John Collins, Laurie Market, and Colin Sexton, and Jordan Clarkson. The kid wants shots. The kid needs shots. The kid needs to be developed. How many of those guys have to be moved for a guy like Ace to get the minutes that he needs to, let's see what kind of player he could be?
Yeah, so I would come at this from multiple ways. Like, first off, him wanting to go to Washington or Brooklyn. He's an East Coast guy. Like, okay, you want to stay East Coast? I have no issue with that. My prevailing take and final take would be like, if he shows up and he signs his contract, this stuff happens in different sports. It's happening with the Bengals player that may be redrafted or whatever it might be. There's a negative tone about it, which I don't think is good, and how it's being portrayed, which I don't from essentially what's the word, like subtly attacking him, or like there is backhanded attacks against him, which I think is wrong. He wants to be a star. I said this on draft night. If they trade Larry Markkinen and John Collins, there's a clear path to him taking 20 or 30 shots a night.
Yep.
I think that is fine. From a basketball perspective, I think it can work. He doesn't love the spot. I get that. But if he signs his contract and he shows up and he plays in every game, or whatever it might be, I think it'll end up being okay. I don't like the conversation and the subtle passive-aggressive tone that is being portrayed against him.
And sorry to interrupt, Kevin. He's going to sign a contract. And I want people to understand the reason why these guys leave after their freshman year is one reason only. It's
guaranteed.
to get to the second contract. They want to get through the first contract to get to the second contract. If we had the days where, Jason came out, he was one of the top 10 players, getting paid when he came out of Cal, and he went to, I think he went to Dallas when he got drafted. If it's back in the days where there was no rookie scale contract, I think you could see guys staying in college longer. They come out because they just want to get a second contract. Listen, folks, I'm going to say this right now, and I know Dallas took him. You actually think Cooper Flagg did not like Duke? Cooper Flagg loved Duke. If he loved it. He loved Duke so much that he considered staying way more than what people think. And why did he come out? Because he was going to lose $75 million with 1 year of staying extra in Duke. So at the end of the day, Ace is going to sign his deal because he needs to get through 4 years, Cap, to get to his second contract.
There's so much there. I want to try and get to it all right? Alex Sarr last year refused to work out for Atlanta, who had the first overall pick.
Right.
And everyone knows, by the way, getting drafted first overall is like an honor, and he didn't care. And you know what didn't happen? Alex Sarr got dragged through the mud. Ace Bailey is more famous, and what you are alluding to, there's absolutely people are attacking Ace Bailey's representation for reasons outside of, I don't know if this guy's a good agent, okay? And we can leave it at that, and then people else can, figure out exactly what I'm saying. So Ace trying to pick his landing spot, I don't necessarily think that is bad advice, right?
It's nothing new.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Right? Where the Ace Bailey camp started to lose me, or where I disagree, I think Utah's a great landing spot.
I agree, too.
Now, I will say this about Danny Ainge. I think this is totally fair to say, JY. You can tell me if I'm being unfair. They're the only team who could have drafted Ace where we don't go, no, they thought he was the best guy, and we wonder, so were they trying to start a fight? Because Ainge has been around so long that if you tell Ace you can't, if you tell Danny Ainge you can't draft me, Danny Ainge are like, oh, sick, cool, now you're in Utah, and let's just go to war. I don't care. I have no interest in winning any games with the Jazz for 10 years anyway, so we might as well just have this fight. So that's a weird piece of it. But assuming Danny Ainge and Austin Ainge and Johnny Ainge and Michael Ainge and whatever Ainges they're hiring, okay? Nobody's upset about that. All upset about Bronny. Anyway, assuming all the Ainges actually think Ace Bailey's an awesome basketball player, and that also then trends down to Will Hardy, their head coach, it's an amazing landing spot. So that is the piece of it why I think that this can still work out, JY, ultimately, and I think I agree with you. He ends up with a Jazz, all in all.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect spot for him. You just got to move some of the veteran guys, and you just hope that you swing and you get AJ DeBenza next year, who is already in Utah.
Which is their entire goal, 100%. We have some draft day question marks next.
Cam Young at 30-1. I think it's a really nice course for him at the Rocket Mortgage in Detroit, Michigan for him. Wyndham Clark at 36-1. And I also like Alex Noren at 60 to 1.
My Morency drunken Brit dart toss golf pick, which does win like 2-3 times a year, guys. Some insanely enough. But I'm going to say Matt Fitzpatrick.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
I do believe that SJ now is the number one player in the world. The things that he can do from the point of attack, offensively and defensively, his ability to drive downhill and score at all three levels. And the thing I like most about this young man at 26, he's so humble. He's so humble. And that speaks to the whole culture of OKC that Sam Presti and Mark Daigneault has built. Humble team, folks.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No way that I'm betting on the Cleveland Cavaliers for any reason whatsoever.
No.
Ever. Like, when they had LeBron James, it was a different story. I think Spider's great. He's no LeBron. I don't see him carrying them to a title. And I don't believe in the Knicks at all. The Knicks never get it done.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Kevin Durant, at the age of 36 years old, after 17 seasons that he has played in the NBA DRS, is now on his way to H-Town.
I don't think it's a great move. I wanted him to go to a ready-made championship team full of a veteran roster and see if he can ring chase that way. Not to go to an organization on the come-up that if you just stay the course, and also, what better blueprint do we have than just staying the course and okay, safe, right?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, back at the right here on SportsGrid. There were a couple of head scratchers, if you will, on draft day. And we're going to start in New Orleans because with so much going on the draft, and we want to make sure that we can assign, appropriate coverage to each individual selection, I don't think any of us really had the time to discuss, if even not the time enough to digest, the Pelicans' decision to trade their 2026 pick unprotected to the Atlanta Hawks. Again, the recap of it is New Orleans at pick 7 drafted Jeremiah Fears, a player they were linked to initially. Some thought would go 5th overall to Utah, but the closing odds suggested they were going to draft Derek Queen, a player they seemingly really, really valued. Queen available at 13, and for the Pelicans, they didn't want to pass up the chance to get both of these guys, who, by the way, very well could have been 2 of the top 5 guys on their board. I think that is absolutely possible, even if not how I saw it. I don't believe JY had either guy in his top 5, but I think that's totally possible. To go from 23 to 13, they send out next year's unprotected first. It is the best of either their own pick or Milwaukee's pick. That added little nugget makes it that much more stressful, to where if the Giannis situation pivots and the Bucks don't have Giannis, this team could have traded away a top 3 pick in next year's draft with 3 players at the head of that draft that many people believe, at minimum, all would have gone second in this year's draft. So the Pelicans have been getting crushed for days now to this decision. I'm going to go to you first, Tom. What do you think of New Orleans going up 10 spots to get a guy they really liked and putting out next year's first in the process?
I'm not going to take any different than anyone else. I think if you look at the players they drafted, you could be like, okay, you guys got Fears, you guys got Queen, bring Queen to the Smoothie King arena, right? You have that combo. If you look at it at face value, which is extremely tough to do, you got players that are going to play this year and can contribute, albeit on a team that's probably not going to be very good. That's great. And again, if these guys are top 5, top 7 in their draft on their draft board, awesome. When you add in that wrinkle, I can't get there. It's just like we're waiting for that other shoe to drop, and it's just like Next year's pick is on the. We lost next year's pick. I think it's an abject failure to do so, despite the fact that you got two really good to great players. So, Coach, if you look at them saying like Fears and Queen are going to slot in, they're going to play. Murray's out. Zion can't stay healthy. We have guys that are going to contribute this season. That is awesome for our team, awesome for our fan base. But knowing what they passed up, it's like it's all for what?
It's all for they better make the playoffs. They better make the playoffs. And they just fired David Griffin and just brought a new GM. So they have to make the playoffs. Like, obviously, you got to be concerned with when DeJounte Murray comes back. But if you really
not next year at all.
Right. So if you take DeJounte out of it, if you close your eyes and say to yourself, okay, Fears, Poole, Trey Murphy, Zion, Eve Missy, Jordan Hawkins, Bruce Brown, Herbert Jones, Derek Queen, Alvarado, top 10. You're like, that's
sneaky deep.
That's sneaky good.
Yeah.
But the problem is, ready?
Oh, no.
Jordan Poole, oh boy.
What shot didn't he like?
What shot did he like? What shot has he not taken to the face in the last couple of years, too? Trey Murphy III, who I love to death. I think he's one of the best 3D guys in the league. He can never stay healthy. Zion, get him away from all smoothies and the jambalaya and the fish etouffee. You know Coach gets down with that jumbo and that Creole food down there. Eve Missy could give you something. Bruce Brown, probably get traded. Herb Jones, okay. Derek Queen, smoothie queen. Whatever. Listen, they could be good, but there's so many things that can go wrong with the injuries with this team that you're almost like, all right, what are three of these guys going to be hurt? And what is Jordan Poole going to give you 4 straight games where he shoots about 3 for 15 and you're wondering where the team's going?
Honestly, they're a league pass team. They're going to be like, hey, they got some fun, but.
They'll be excited to watch.
Yeah.
But will they be healthy?
All right, so here's my thing on New Orleans. I guess what I would say that maybe is a little bit different, Tom, than what everyone else has said, is I think everyone's reaction, I think most reactions, seem to suggest that they definitely traded away a top 5 pick.
Okay.
And I'm, by the way, not trying to play the cute game of, oh, the lottery, what if their pick falls here? So let's just do it off record, okay?
Fair.
New Orleans having a bottom 5 record, to me, I think it is as likely that this team makes the playoffs. Like, inside that top 8.
You think the range of outcomes is massive?
Absolutely so.
Very
because
fair.
I think, one, Zion has the widest Embiid, like the widest range of outcomes of players in the league, right? Because like Zion is either unbelievable, which he is every time he's on the court, or unavailable, which then means he's giving you absolutely nothing, right? So it's like him and Embiid. Where like other guys, it's like, oh, I know you're on the court, right?
Fair.
So that's how I feel about Zion. Everyone loves Trey Murphy. Herb Jones is an all-defense level guy. The thing about Fears and Queen, they are boom or bust prospects, but again, if it's wrapped in a negative connotation, we worry about the bust. But like, those guys are good basketball players. I thought both were worthy of top 13 selections, certainly. And I think that is a legitimate piece of what they've done here. Jordan Poole, CJ McCollum swap, okay, fine. Like, we can laugh about Poole, but it's not like he's coming in to replace someone, honestly, that is that much better than him. Sorry to CJ McCollum. Jordan Hawkins is a good player. This team, here's the thing about New Orleans. They've been bizarre for years because they always have really good players. Now, maybe they will be bad. So I think it was a incredibly risky decision. And that's before we talk about how good could Queen be? How good could Fears be? I'm not sure if it matters how good Queen and Fears are if they end up with one of the 5 worst records in the league this coming season. Because you just can't run that risk. That's just absolutely bad operations. But the Pelicans thinking they can make the playoffs, I don't think is as crazy as possibly some other teams. Rookie of the Year odds up next with you right here on SportsGrid.
We're going to go with Cam Young at 30-1. I think it's a really nice course for him at the Rocket Mortgage in Detroit, Michigan for him. Wyndham Clark at 36-1. And I also like Alex Noren at 60-1.
My Morency drunken Brit dart toss golf pick, which does win like 2-3 times a year, guys. Insanely enough. But I'm going to say Matt Fitzpatrick.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
I do believe that SJ now is the #1 player in the world. The things that he can do from the point of attack, offensively and defensively, his ability to drive downhill and score on all 3 levels. And the thing I like most about this young man at 26, he's so humble. He's so humble. And that speaks to the whole culture of OKC that Sam Presti and Mark Daigneault has built. Humble team, folks.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No way that I'm betting on the Cleveland Cavaliers for any reason whatsoever.
No.
Ever. Like, when they had LeBron James, it was a different story. I think Spider's great. He's no LeBron. I don't see him carrying them to a title. And I don't believe in the Knicks at all. The Knicks never get it done.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Kevin Durant, at the age of 36 years old, after 17 seasons that he has played in the NBA DRS, is now on his way to H-Town.
I don't think it's a great move. I wanted him to go to a ready-made championship team full of a veteran roster and see if he can ring chase that way. Not to go to an organization on the come-up that if you just stay the course, and also, what better blueprint do we have than just staying the course and okay, safe, right?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You have a Creole. Back right here on SportsGrid, the Rookie of the Year odds came out almost immediate. Actually, I think the first round maybe was still going on.
We were talking about it live on air at that time. I believe Cooper Flag was minus 170.
I'm sorry, I don't know if I had odds.
I don't think you did.
No, but I believe when it came out, the odds are now updated since Wednesday night. But I believe at the time Cooper Flag was minus 170.
Well, minus 190 now. Bailey and Trey Johnson are plus 850 apiece. We then get 12-1 on Dylan Harper. And then the board starts to fall a little bit further with VJ Edgecombe, Derek Queen, Jeremiah Fears, Knipple, and Yegor Demon getting a little bit of love from the odds makers.
Your guy,
Yegor Demon. That fans must be flooding the market right now.
People are trying to combat me with their Yegor Demon bets. That is an atrocious bet. Kasper Yakachona has way better of a chance
I was going to say
winning
him.
than Yegor Demon. How do I want to frame this? Betting a defensive player of the year next year, right, assuming you're not betting Wemby, is going to feel like maybe he gets hurt. It's the Judge thing, right? Like, maybe. But is Cooper Flag that level for you? I'll start with you, Coach. In this market where, hey, Cooper Flag played 72 games. Does that mean to you he won Rookie of the Year?
Honestly, I'm going to say there's a chance he may not.
Okay.
And to me, this all goes down to what happens in Utah and how quickly do they move off the contracts. Mm-hmm. Because to me, for every person they move, whether it's marketing, definitely marketing, or college, because they play the same position, right, small forward, power forward, and for every guy they move, I think you could slice Ace Bailey's number by $1 because it's going to be that 2 or 3 more shot attempts for Ace. I think that's the interesting thing. And I think the same thing happens, honestly, really quick, with Trey Johnson. You got to realize, folks, Washington has a top 10 protected pick in next year's draft. If they go 11-30, it goes to the Knicks. They also have over $100 million coming off on the cap between McCollum, Middleton, Smart, and Kelly Olynyk. At what point do they throw the towel in and trade all these guys off and give someone like Trey Johnson the minute and shot attempts? Because if you look carefully at Dallas, could Cooper Flag get you, I'm going to say at max, 15 points a game? Because there's AD, there's Clay, there's lob threats and Gafford and other guys like that. Like, he's not going to be asked to say, like, here's the ball. You got to go get me 20 a night. The minute that Danny Ainge clears that roster, Ace Bailey's getting 20 shots a night. So he may put up better numbers, which I think presents value for either Ace or Trey. The problem is that you have to jump on it now before the trades happen, Tom, because as the trades happen for either team, those odds are going to get shorter and shorter.
So I look at this from multiple different ways. Number one, the line is there for a Cooper Flag because the books are trying to protect themselves. They're never going to hang a big number on it. Number two, Cooper Flag to score 40-plus points at plus 300 is a far better bet, and if he's going to be putting up performances like that, he's probably on his way to winning a rookie year. Not saying a single game of 40 points is going to solidify it, but I would equate this to when Connor Bedard in the NHL won Rookie of the Year. It's there was a conversation we had that the example is that Luke Hughes and/or Brock Faber were more worthy of that award because of some of their underlying numbers, which were better. But at a certain point, they're like, again, if you played 72 games, he's just going to win the award kind of thing. Yeah. And that was the feeling I had for Bedard, and he's the same type of prospect. He is like a generational prospect that was guaranteed to go number one, and if he just plays enough games, we can make the argument that Ace Bailey did more, scores more, does this more, but the voters, are they just going to end up giving it to Cooper Flag?
I don't think they'll just give it to him.
But as long as his numbers are good enough, he will win it.
But I think what my thing is, the tone of that suggests that Cooper might win it even if he's not most deserving. I don't think that is going to be a thing.
I think there's a path to it being a possibility. Not it's a guarantee, but it's a possibility.
I think it is unlikely. Well, here's why, I guess. I think I will be surprised if he is not most deserving of this award.
I'm not saying that can't happen either. I'm saying,
but for Cooper Flag, the reality is he's the best player in this class and is going to seemingly the best year one situation where Ace in Utah is going to be bad. Trey's going to be weirdly fighting for minutes in Washington more than you would think, and they're going to be bad. Harper's going to have to do this split backcourt thing with De'Aaron Fox. Like, I'd listen to a fears starting in New Orleans for DeJounte Murray case, but Coop is starting and the best player on maybe the best team. We'll be right back here on SportsGrid.
Cam Young at 30-1. I think it's a really nice course for him at the Rocket Mortgage in Detroit, Michigan for him. Wyndham Clark at 36-1. And I also like Alex Noren at 60-1.
My Morency drunken Brit dart toss golf pick, which does win like 2-3 times a year, guys. Insanely enough. But I'm going to say Matt Fitzpatrick.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
I do believe that SJ now is the number one player in the world. The things that he can do from the point of attack, offensively and defensively, his ability to drive downhill and score at all three levels. And the thing I like most about this young man at 26, he's so humble. He's so humble. And that speaks to the whole culture of OKC that Sam Presti and Mark Daigneault has built. Humble team, folks.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No way that I'm betting on the Cleveland Cavaliers for any reason whatsoever.
No.
Ever. Like, when they had LeBron James, it was a different story. I think Spider's great. He's no LeBron. I don't see him carrying them to a title. And I don't believe in the Knicks at all. The Knicks never get it done.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Kevin Durant, at the age of 36 years old, after 17 seasons that he has played in the NBA DRS, is now on his way to H-Town.
I don't think it's a great move. I wanted him to go to a ready-made championship team full of a veteran roster and see if he can ring chase that way. Not to go to an organization on the come-up that if you just stay the course, and also, what better blueprint do we have than just staying the course than okay, safe, right?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.